Let's talk about the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings have had a huge fall from grace. During the 2022-2023 season, we saw them make the NBA playoffs for the first time since 2006. And that was a very successful season for the Kings. They were the third seed in the Western Conference, and everything was going to plan. They had all that young talent with Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, Keegan Murray. Everyone was on the same page and they were gelling together. They were not a championship contending team just yet, but they were just one veteran piece away. And throughout the building, everyone finally had a lot of positive things to say about the ownership, about the coaching staff, and as the players as a whole. Because the one thing with the Sacramento Kings owner, he's one of the worst owners in sports today. You could say in sports history. I know the Chicago Bulls / Chicago White Sox, I know they hate their owner, but this man may be even worse. I'm going to tell you why throughout this video. After that successful season, they did go into the NBA playoffs, and unfortunately, they lost. They were not able to walk away with a championship, but you know what? That's okay. They lost against the Golden State Warriors in a 7-game series, and it was a very fun series, but they lost to the veteranship of Stephen Curry and the other pieces around him, just like Draymond Green and Steve Kerr, the head coach. So they'll come back to 2023-2024 season. But there was a lot of rumblings at the time about them possibly bringing in DeMar DeRozan, and that's what they ended up doing. They brought over DeMar DeRozan, and this would be a bad fit. And even right now, it's still an awkward fit for the Sacramento Kings. Remember how I said earlier in the video, the Kings were this team that loved to just take a bunch of threes. They were able to go out there and run a fast-paced offense. Throughout DeMar DeRozan's career, he's not a fast-paced player, and he's not a very good three-point shooter. DeMar DeRozan is known to be a mid-range killer, and he needs the basketball in his hands to be the most effective. When you look at De'Aaron Fox, he also needs the basketball in his hand. But with the players they had around him, like Keegan Murray, like Sabonis, they got the basketball out quick and they were up to the court. They were beating you with that speed because De'Aaron Fox is one of the fastest players in the NBA. They went away from that, and we saw their defense take a massive hit. They fired Mike Brown earlier this season, and now you have Doug Christie being your head coach for the rest of the regular season. And I look at Doug Christie, he's not a terrible head coach. But I look at Mike Brown, he did get a raw deal. It was a lot of reports that De'Aaron Fox basically got him fired. That came out not to be true. De'Aaron Fox was done with the Sacramento Kings. He wanted to be on a championship contending team for the long term. So they traded him to the San Antonio Spurs, but they did it in a 3-team trade. You traded him to the Spurs. The Bulls were also part of this trade, and they brought over Zach LaVine. At this point in time, the Sacramento Kings, they should have went out there and blew this entire roster up. They should have got rid of Sabonis, and they also should have gotten rid of De'Aaron Fox, which was the right thing to do. He was up for a contract extension. He was not going to sign a contract extension with the Sacramento Kings. He wanted to play with the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama. But this is the problem. They did not walk away with Stephon Castle. They did not walk away with Devin Vassell, two very good young guards and two very good players with the San Antonio Spurs that the Kings could use right now. Because if we go back to just 5 years ago, the Sacramento Kings, they had De'Aaron Fox, they had Tyrese Halliburton. Both of those players did not gel well together, and they're two very good point guards. But I look at Tyrese Halliburton. He's more so of a floor general. He wanted to stay with the Sacramento Kings. He wanted to fully rebuild this team. He wanted to be part of the bigger picture, but they traded him for Sabonis, which was a good move. Sabonis is a better player than Tyrese Halliburton. But when you look at it, hindsight, maybe they should have traded De'Aaron Fox instead, because Tyrese Halliburton had loyalty to the organization, but they traded him. And now when you look at the Sacramento Kings, they went from being the third seed from the 2022-2023 season, and now they're the 10th seed in the Western Conference. They're the Chicago Bulls of the Western Conference, because now you have DeMar DeRozan and you have Zach LaVine. They were teammates with the Chicago Bulls over the last few years, and the Bulls had one decent playoff run against the Milwaukee Bucks, and then they got bounced out in the first round. The same problem that the Bulls were dealing with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, you're dealing with right now. Your defense is not good enough. Now, Zach LaVine was dealing with a lot of injuries with the Chicago Bulls. He has been able to stay healthy with the Sacramento Kings. As a matter of fact, he's their biggest bright spot right now with this entire organization. And I'm going to give him his credit. He's averaging 23 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 4 assists. He's shooting 51% from the field, and he's shooting 43% from three. Zach LaVine has been an amazing player, but I look at DeMar DeRozan. He's on the back end of his career. He is averaging 22 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 48% from the field. The three-point shot is still a problem. He's shooting 34%, and on the surface, that's not terrible. But teams know DeMar DeRozan is not going to go out there and be a consistent three-point threat. His game is the mid-range, and it slows down the offense as a whole for the Sacramento Kings. And when you look at Doug Christie, he's done everything possible to try to work around this roster. In their last 8 games, they're 1-7. And you have players like Zach LaVine, like DeMar DeRozan. You have Keegan Murray. Unfortunately for Keegan Murray, he's having a down year this year. Keegan Murray in the past was a reliable three-point shooter that would go out there and average 15 points a game. That's what he did in the 2023-2024 season. This season with the Kings, he's averaging 12 points, 7 rebounds. The rebound numbers are up, but the three-point shot has not been as consistent this year as it was last season. Now, over the last 20 games, it has been better. But for the full body of work this season, he's had a down year. And when I look at the bench unit with the Sacramento Kings, it's one of the weakest benches in the NBA. Malik Monk, he's a solid player. Don't get me wrong. He's a very good bench player. He's averaging 18 points a game, averaging 6 assists, and he's shooting 33% from the three-point line. But these players are not good enough to contend in the Western Conference. So right now, you're stuck in mediocrity. You went from being a young and up-and-coming team just a season ago. Now look at you. And a lot of this is because of bad management and the fact that ownership have rubbed players the wrong way. The Sacramento Kings, they did find a way to rebound from that 2018 draft, but they're still suffering the effects from it. They took Marvin Bagley over Luka and also over Trae Young. Both of those players would have been home run hits for the Sacramento Kings, especially Luka. But that goes down to ownership and the general manager. They have not been able to go out there and cash in on those young players. And this has been a problem besides just the 2018 draft. It's the reason why you haven't made the NBA playoffs since 2006 until you went out there and you made it a few years ago. That is how bad this organization has been. But I look at Zach LaVine, you could possibly get some pieces for him, some first round picks, maybe. But the fact that you are not able to bring in one of those young players for Aaron Fox, and the Spurs still have all those young players that they have around Wemby, and you traded him in this conference. I know that Aaron Fox had a lot of say in that trade. He really wanted to go to the San Antonio Spurs. But if I'm the general manager, you have to give me one of those young guards right now. You have to give me Stephon Castle or Devin Vassell at least, and give me some more first round picks on top. Because at his best, De'Aaron Fox is easily a top 10 point guard in the NBA. And we got to see that with the San Antonio Spurs. Is he a franchise changer? No, he's not. He's not going to go down as one of the best Sacramento Kings guards of all time. But his trade value was very high as a defensive player, and also with the fact that he can get to the rim on a consistent basis, and his mid-range shot is one of the best mid-range shots for a point guard in the NBA. I wish the Sacramento Kings were better off. But right now, let's just say you do make it past the play-in. You're going to go against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. That series is going to end in either 4 or 5 games. You're going to go against the Houston Rockets. That's easily going to end in 4 or 5 games for you. Even if you end up against the Denver Nuggets, all of the teams right now in the Western Conference that are 8 seeds and higher, they're better than the Sacramento Kings right now. The Kings have been so bad, they are a seed below the Dallas Mavericks. And the Dallas Mavericks have been dealing with injuries all year long, and they have one of the worst general managers in the NBA right now because they traded their star player for Anthony Davis. And the fact that the Mavericks have won more games over the last 10 games than the Sacramento Kings says a lot about this roster right now. They're just not good enough. And there's also a lot of reports behind the scenes that Sabonis may request a trade in the offseason. It's time to blow this team up. It's time to move off these veteran pieces like DeMar DeRozan, and the same with Sabonis. You may have to keep Zach LaVine around because of his contract. And if we even go back to just 2 years ago with Zach LaVine, no one really wanted to trade for him because of his contract and the injuries that he was dealing with. And the same with DeMar DeRozan. I don't know how many times the NBA has to learn this lesson. When you go out there and bring in a player like DeMar DeRozan, on the surface, he's a solid piece to have, but he will definitely mess up your offense. He is not meant to be the focal point of a championship contending team. We saw this with the Toronto Raptors. We got to see this with the San Antonio Spurs. It's not me saying that he's a terrible player, but I look at DeMar DeRozan. He would have been better off as a bench piece with the Sacramento Kings when he first signed here with this organization instead of being thrusted into the starting lineup. And they fired Mike Brown because the defense took a major hit back that was going to happen because of DeMar DeRozan. That one season that they had, it seemed like they caught lightning in a bottle, but they went completely away from that as being one of the fastest teams in the NBA that could get up and down the court, hit those three-pointers. And then you bring in a player like DeMar DeRozan who doesn't fit the system. And you look at De'Aaron Fox. He isn't no saint in this situation because his three-point shot also went down this year. So he resorted to going back to the mid-range shot with DeMar DeRozan. They were in a better situation when they did not have DeMar DeRozan and when De'Aaron Fox was able to make his threes. This is why I'm saying they need some young players on this team for the next 5 to 10 years that can help out the organization. They make a lot of trades that help them now, but it hurts them in the future. That trade for Sabonis is going to go down as one of the best trades they've ever made in franchise history, because Sabonis was good out the gate and he has been consistently good since that trade. And he was a very good player with the Indiana Pacers. But trading De'Aaron Fox for what? Just to go out there and bring in Zach LaVine? That's a lateral move. Especially this season, that doesn't help you in the future. And it damn sure doesn't help you right now in the loaded conference that you're in. I just don't understand the Sacramento Kings. They are stuck to mediocrity. You have not been in a situation to win a championship in a very long time. And they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. This is what the Sacramento Kings have been doing since 2010. Going out there and wasting young players, not getting the draft picks right, and going to free agency and not knowing whatever the hell they're doing. But I look at ownership and I look at the front office. They deserve all the blame. I'm not going to blame Doug Christie for this. I'm not going to blame Zach LaVine or Sabonis for this because they're showing up. And they also made another trade that really made me scratch my head, even though they were trying to go out there and contend at the time. The Sacramento Kings backdoored, on top of going out there and getting Zach LaVine and getting DeMar DeRozan in free agency, you bring in Jonas Valanciunas. Now, he's a very good backup big man, but once again, he's not going to be a piece that pushes you into the playoff conversation. And that's where the Sacramento Kings want to be this year. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Sacramento Kings and what should they do moving forward? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.